Brian went from several years of desperation and struggling with chronic fatigue and long COVID into fully thriving within a year. This is his recovery story. It's the short version, and let's start straight away with how he responded to having these symptoms and this illness. Enjoy.
The symptoms stop you and you're like, this isn't possible. But I want to get back to the version of me that can do this, all this work, and make 2 videos a week and go, I'm like planning on running a marathon and I'm like, maybe an Ironman would be a good idea in the back of my, you know what I mean? So it's like, I'm like, as soon as I figure out these symptoms, I'm going to go back to that guy. And that was probably for, um, I don't know, a year and a half, maybe longer. And during that time, you're trying to solve the problem the wrong way, which is seeing, not that there's no merit in this. For some people, I think maybe. For me, it ended up being no merit in the end, but it was going to see functional medicine doctors or traditional doctors. And most people who are down the road in this journey will have been in the same place where there's no molecule, no supplement, no crazy treatment that's going to help you. Yeah, and you learn the hard way that doesn't work. So I had to exhaust that modality or that approach fully before I could be like, well, what's left? And that's when it's like, actually, maybe module 1, module 2 in the release program are a lot about slowing down, being mindful of what kind of stress you're experiencing. And for me, that was like, I guess the old version has to die. It took a long time to get there though.
Yeah, I mean, what you're saying is basically mourning yourself. It's an ego death, and that can take years, right?
Yeah, it's extremely painful. And a lot of it too, in the early part, when you're experiencing symptoms, you don't know what they are, you're resisting the symptoms and you're resisting the signs that they're coming from because of the way you were. And it takes a long time for that resistance to go away. And you do grieve the loss of that person for sure. You have to become a totally new person, unfortunately, somebody who doesn't destroy themselves with work.
So when your symptoms started, how did you react to that? Did you push through, or because you said you were bedbound almost in a week? How did that happen?
So I was super scared and I was just immediately day and night was looking on the internet for solutions. And yeah, it just accelerated super quickly because the amount of fear. So I was already seeing a functional medicine doctor and they were pretty quick to be like, I think it's long COVID. And they have a whole suite of treatments that they can offer that cost thousands of dollars. And so the treatments were like, okay, come in 2 times a week for the Myers cocktail IV and then glutathione. Okay, that doesn't work. Then let's do ozone, where they take your blood out, put ozone in it, and then put it back in. And then there's extreme ozone, where they just hook up a thing to either arm and it circulates through this machine and it pumps like 10,000 times more ozone than the original treatment. And it's supposed to sanitize your blood and have all these metabolic effects that are positive for your mitochondrial dysfunction. And that, like those sessions, I did 6 of them and I think it was $10,000.
Wow, and did it work?
Of course not, dude. Uh, and that they had me on the carnivore diet as well. And the supplements were insane, like insanely expensive, $600-700 of supplements per month. And, if you're in month 16 or 17 in this journey and nothing has changed and the symptoms have just gotten worse, you're like, okay, well, I'm open to other ideas. And luckily, one of the functional medicine doctors somewhere along the way recommended Joe Dispenza. So that for me was a gateway. I couldn't have heard your message during the functional medicine phase. It was a way to calm down the nervous system and get some positive emotion going that wasn't total doom and despair and like, what the hell is happening to me? And, it's essentially fancy brain retraining. People are going to be really hot about that take, but that's how I feel. I think there's maybe some benefit to it. It's better than nothing, and people have genuine healing experiences. At least for me at this phase in my life, it's not the type of healing I want to be doing. I want to be doing something a little bit different and more embodied. But it helped me. I did Joe Dispenza meditations every day for like a year. If I, at my worst, I was probably like a 3 out of 10. I probably got up to like a 5 out of 10 with the Dispenza stuff. But you would just go back down to a 3 if you stopped doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's constant because it's a constant effort to calm your nervous system down when you're actually very stressed. And it's not really dealing with this with the root issue, I think.
The second I started doing actual release work, that the Joe Dispenza work was just replaced with that. So maybe midway through the program or towards the end of the program when the release work gets a little bit more serious and a little bit more, the results start coming.
Yeah. So what did you think of the work, of the release work, when you first stumbled upon it?
I think for most people, I've heard some of the other stories on your channel, and I think my experience was the very similar, which is that it just right away you're like, oh, this makes total sense. I have not been going about this the right way. Does it, fleshing out the idea a bit more. And within a week or so, I was like, I'm just going to sign up for his program because obviously that's the next step for me. It's, well, the first part, I would say is underrated. You'll find that if you're not continuing the work of the first part, symptoms will just come back.
So did you experience that doing a release could make you feel symptom free?
Yeah, I would say the first few releases were partial releases, and I think that's the case for most people. So you go from having, let's say your symptoms are at 8 or 9 out of 10. You early on, even if you've done some of the journaling and done some of this, you know, let go of resistance and do some safety and stuff like that, you can go from a 8 or 9 to a 6 early, and then 8 or 9 or 10 to a 5 or a 4, and then when you have a full release, and for me, I still don't have full releases all the time, um, but I can go from a high state of activation to a very, very low state of activation very quickly. If you do the preparation work where you're like, I'm gonna feel the thing, make space for it, and then when it's ready, turn that into some kind of release. Yeah. And I would say like maybe half the time I can get to the point where it's just I feel totally normal afterwards and feel very open.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly for me. I mean, basically, the program is my way of getting my life back and just writing it down and helping other people with it. Finding ways to cry, to make sure that I can walk the dog and make some dinner, go to the grocery store, and have a life. And always coming up with new tools to make sure that I'll feel better. That's basically how it was created.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I've used it as well. I actually heard you say a couple weeks ago in one of your videos, a cry a day keeps the doctor away. And yeah, I've been trying to live that. It's amazing how good you can feel after that. And it doesn't have to be crazy. It can be 10 seconds. And yeah, it's very, very difficult to accept that the fact that you would be responsible for healing yourself. I believe that this process, as you've said in some of your videos, is like a spiritual awakening, that a lot of people can stay in their coping and be this rational mind identified person their entire life. And you can grow within that container, but it sets a ceiling on your expansion. I believe that. And going through this process forces that. And it is extremely painful. But once you get to the other side, it's you're a much you have a much wider perspective, and your capacity to feel pain and to deal with life and interact with life is much more profound and maybe much more expanded. I'd like to say that no matter how much despair you feel, one day you will feel better.